What is up and welcome to another edition of Worth a Watch with me, Anthony Flores. This is going to be my early review for the rebooted franchise, The Lone Ranger. So, westerns, action, Johnny Depp. It sounds like a pretty solid combination to me. So getting into this whole Lone Ranger character and franchise and everything, I don't think anything has been done with this story or characters in quite some time. And this is what happens when perfectly timed reboots happen. Many people, I believe, tried to reboot this over the last few years. From what I heard, there was just some deals that tried to go through and it just never happened. It never came into fruition. And even when Disney got the go-ahead from the team of Pirates of the Caribbean, Gore Verbinski is the director for this film, and Jerry Bruckheimer, as well as Johnny Depp to star as the leading sidekick Tonto in this film. But even with all that said in motion, there was still a budget restraint, and considering it was already at $250 million, and they were trying to push for more than that, I don't blame Disney. And from what I saw, this is not only a great western, this is a very solid reboot of this character. I obviously do not know very much of this because I did not grow up in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s with this character on the radio, through comic strips, and various other forms of media. Just playing cowboy, the little kids with the cowboy hats and the masks and little guns and stuff. I was not a part of that generation. And there was a few elder people beside me and laughing and having a good time with this film, actually saying they got some of this shit right. That's impressive. And right off the bat, I felt overall this movie just had such a good atmosphere of the western areas of Texas, and it was just such a nice representation of the Old West. The characters were great, and going into the characters themselves for this particular reboot, the character John Reed, who later becomes the Lone Ranger due to various situations that happen in the movie, along with his sidekick Tonto, who is a Comanche Indian, who has his own personal backstory in the film. From the feeling that I got from the actors in these roles of Tonto and the Lone Ranger, it felt like I was watching a bit of those characters. It felt like an old-fashioned western. It just, these heroics of seeking justice versus the ideas of greed and corruption amongst the businessmen in the particular city that everything goes down in here. We have our main plot of the film. Greed and corruption in the gold, instead of gold, in this case it's silver, that corrupts the people. And the main bad guy, played by William Fichtner, is also just a nasty guy. This guy was really disturbing to watch on screen. He just had this persona. And then, I guess if you want to call it the love interest, Ruth Wilson. I do not know much of her, but I know she did a solid enough job. I hope to see her in more films. I thought she was going to be that cliche damsel in distress. In some situations she was, but she was a much stronger character than I ever thought she would be. She actually had stuff to do, and she actually had emotional weight to her character. Tom Wilkinson's character is one of the businessmen, also has a nice role. I will not reveal too much into him because that could be spoiler stuff there. But to the main two characters here in front of us that are the main characters we want to root for. John Reed, aka the Lone Ranger, who was originally a lawyer, but then due to events that happen in the film, he ends up becoming the masked vigilante known as the Lone Ranger. And Tonto has his own backstory. Again, I don't want to give too much away, but he has his purpose as to why he's hunting down William Fichtner's character, along with John Reed's character hunting him down too. There's a whole bunch of interconnecting situations that happen here that I was not expecting, as well as some emotional depth that does happen between Johnny Depp and Armie Hammer on screen. Both of them are engulfed in these roles. I see them as the Lone Ranger and Tonto. I do not see them as the actors. We all know Johnny Depp is a chameleon. He can just put on the makeup and become any character he wants. There is no difference here, but except in this case, it's a fresh enough idea where I actually give a shit about his character. It's not just Johnny Depp hamming it up as a different character. I actually felt like I saw this character of Tonto, not Johnny Depp. Same with Armie Hammer. The guy, I hope he really does get more work. Mirror Mirror was kind of a backstep for him last year. He was pretty damn fun to watch and an awesome action hero in this. The action scenes were really fun, and some of them, yeah, there were a bit CGI-ish stuff and over-the-top kind of scenarios. When the action kicked in, it was really fun. I really enjoyed myself a lot. In terms of the acting, it was really well done. I was very surprised. One more minor thing I forgot to mention, Helena Bonham Carter. I don't know why she's in here. Johnny Depp, I guess, said, sure, get her. Why not? I was very shocked that Tim Burton wasn't a producer or something on this movie. But she was fine. She was just kind of there, and she was still pale as fuck. All that sun, I don't know how the hell she's still pale. Story was pretty solid, and the dialogue and chemistry amongst all the characters and cast, especially between Johnny Depp and Armie Hammer, was really, really good and shined through so well. And it's what made the movie. It really is. It really relies on the chemistry between those two characters. It is what will make this film successful. I hope it will do well, because Westerns are not really my thing either, but I had a lot of fun with this. It was just an all-around unexpected surprise. I thought this was going to be another bland, over-budgeted, overproduced reboot. Overall, this is a fun summer blockbuster that is, I'm hoping will do well at the box office coming July 4th weekend. So I definitely say see it. My final rating is a solid 9 out of 10. It really is something to see in the theater. Anyways, that should do it for my review of The Lone Ranger. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to comment below, like and subscribe, and all that other good stuff in between. So until next time, I'm Anthony Flores with Worth a Watch, and keep going to the movies.